Okay, okay, okay. Here we go. Here we go. Can you believe it? We are back. All right, all you great fans out there. I am so grateful for you. Can you believe it? Another show about to launch. I am your host, Jessica Koch, and this is Profound Professionals. That's right, that interview series that has been coming to you. Do you know we're going to have a 10-year birthday this year? 10 years. And we bring to you industry experts from all over the world, and they help improve your personal life and they help you grow your business. And today we have Kevin McCarthy, and he is the creator of the On Purpose approach for a winning life work without losing yourself. So winning at life and work. There we go. Winning at life and work without losing yourself. Okay, we are live, and here is how it rolls. So let's just give him a really great intro again. Kevin McCarthy is the creator of the On Purpose approach for winning at life and work without losing yourself. See, I got it right the second time. All right. Out there, if you're thinking, how can I juggle all the balls and get all the things done and still feel like there is time for me and time to be me and find me and my passion and purpose and make sure it's incorporated in everything I do, then Kevin is the man for you. So welcome, Kevin.
Thank you. It's great to be with you, Jessica. Since maybe I'm close to being the 1,000th guest, do I get like a special treatment here or something?
We're way past 1,000.
Okay.
I just need to do a recount to get the actual number. We do so many a week that I have not caught up to that. My team takes care of everything. I love how the universe is. We were just talking about the behind the curtain before we let you guys in on our little world here. How we're both veterans. I started in radio, speaking and keynoting, and then I come out the gate with an introduction that ties my tongue in a knot. The universe will get you funny when you that'll show me to brag on me too much. That it just shows how human you are. So it's good to know. Good to know that we're all still human here. So tell us about the On Purpose approach and how we can have this. Is it wrong? Is it the work-life balance thing, or is it something even deeper or different than that?
It's much deeper than that. I mean, first of all, just to address the work-life balance is a mythology. The real thing that you're after is your integration of your work in your life, and purpose is the point of integration. So purpose is a much deeper topic. If you think in terms of the mind, body, spirit, which most people would use to describe sort of their life experience, purpose clearly lives on the spirit side of it. So in that sense, it has a depth to it that most people think of it in terms of my purpose is to take care of my children, or my purpose is my job, or my purpose is, no, those are missions. Those are things that you do, where purpose is much more about who you are. So it really is a very profound element of our life, and it ties deeply to our identity of who we are, as opposed to what we are doing.
All right. Well, tell us about how this became your life's work and what kind of people are going, oh, wait, I need that Kevin in my life. I need this approach. I need this support. Who's coming to find you? So first, give us kind of the path, the stones that led to this to begin with.
Sure. Well, I started off, I'm an entrepreneur almost from birth, probably. And if I fast forward through that, I decided if I was going to be an entrepreneur, I better have a good business education. So I have an undergraduate degree in business and finance from Lehigh University, then worked a few years, went back and got an MBA from the University of Virginia's Darden Graduate Business School, where I also met my wife. We're classmates. And so we've had, that's just been a great marriage. And, so that was something I came out of graduate business school with it that I didn't anticipate.
That was a lucky bonus.
But I went into the commercial real estate development business, and after a period of years, I soon realized it wasn't for me. I actually went through a business divorce. We had a business that today's dollars, we'd probably be doing about $80 million worth of commercial real estate development. And my partner, who was 15 years older, started to drink, and then just some really bad things started to happen. And so I knew I needed to get away from him. So and I got out of that business, and then I restarted, but I started as a real estate advisor working with mid-market companies on their real estate. And I found out a lot of them, if they didn't, if they need a real estate, like a new office building or a warehouse and with office in it, or that should fall out logically from a business plan. What I found is most of them didn't have business plans. They had good ideas about what they might need. So I started doing business planning, and then as I built relationships with them, I realized that they didn't necessarily have a life plan. And then at the core of that is answering this deeper question of why am I here, which is your purpose. And so that began to migrate me more into the human side of business, if you will, and a lot of philosophical thoughts about both business and life and how they work together. And so in the late 80s, I wrote down the equation: the purpose of the person aligned with the purpose of the organization. When that happens, that's where the energy and the magic is. And I saw a whole lot of people that didn't have that energy and that joy in their life and in their work. So that really set my career in the late 80s on a path of saying, how do I help people know their purpose? How do I help organizations know their purpose? And actually, I talk about purpose, vision, mission, and values as sort of the deep strategy of life and the deep strategy of organizations. And so that if each party is doing its job of understanding its purpose, vision, mission, and values, the alignment can be much more rapid and much more meaningful. Without that, there's confusion. And so the idea here is that when we have that personally, we have this sort of intersection that's going on along. Then we can look at organizations, and an organization, by the way, can be a marriage. It doesn't have to be a Fortune 100 company. It can be truly a marriage, or why you feel like you want to belong to a church or to a synagogue. There's reasons, there's connections that are being made like that. And at the core of that is your purpose. So when the purpose of the person is aligned with the purpose of the organization, that's the energy. And so over the decades, I have just built tools, books, methods, programs on the personal side as well as on the organizational side, always attempting to create this alignment so that someone is on purpose in their life and in their organizational worlds.
I love that. And, what I found is I started my career and with this great love of sales and marketing. And I was always really blending the tried and true traditional sales skills and techniques and formulas with all this modern technology that was coming, and trying and making an effort to make that marriage where it's still very people and relationship forward. And then what I have come to at this point in my life is I have run into so many. I really wish there was a stats company that had the statistics on. In the last 5 years, I would fair game to say that your coaches, authors, and speakers has, increased by 200% of what it was, years before.
Right.
I'm making these numbers up. These are not tested, tried, or true.
Right.
But it's astronomical. There's a large influx. And so when I was meeting all of these people in these categories, what I'm finding too is they have this life mission to transform lives and impact people, and they have this particular skill with this certain modality to help this great transformation. And what I saw was a lack of legacy plan. So I love that you're talking about, having, business plan and a life plan and mission and values and passion and purpose and all those things. But then the next piece of the puzzle is the legacy community I've been building, an academy that we're building to then help them take all the greatness of living the best version of their lives now and developing generational wealth for their communities and families by having a very successful business or investment or money management.
Mm-hmm.
And then planning, well, how does that live on, and how long will it live on without me, and how do we design it so it can be hundreds of years versus, one generation, and what all that looks like, because there's so few people talking about that. So I love that you've been working all these years to build these different plans that integrate in life and business and life. So I think that's really important work you're doing.
Well, thank you.
Tell me, the kind of customers that come to you, is it a corporation that says, we feel like we need more alignment with our mission or our team, or better connection or communication with our team? Or is it an individual CEO that says, I'm not feeling like I'm on the right track and I need some adjustment and tweaking? Or is it all of those things? Who's coming to you with the, where am I, and how are you working with these clients?
Well, I mean, it has been traditionally where my traditional clientele has been the owner of a mid to small business, mid-sized to small business, who's coming along and saying there's got to be more to this than just making money, or there's something I'm deeply dissatisfied with. In most cases, they were looking at it also saying my business isn't doing what I think it should be doing. So I've really been a strategy consultant, looking over at the holistically at the entire organization, because of my business skills and ability to integrate. I've done that. Now I'm now at a stage and age, if you will, where I'm really looking at it and saying far less consulting work and far more individual work. I'm kind of really looking more at the, because I can talk business with business people all day long, a lot of my clients are now looking at the individual side, and maybe they've made it. They're looking at it and saying, I've made a bunch of money and I'm sitting on it, but I'm bored, silly, or I feel like I want to do something more important with my life. I'm at a different stage. Those are the people that I'm working with now, where we can still talk business and how to grow the business, but more importantly, how to grow their life, and what does that really look like? Or in some cases, they're kind of settled, and they're settling, but they're deeply unsettled. Is another way of thinking about it, where they're saying, Kevin, what got me here isn't getting me to where I want to go, but I've only lived that life. I need to do something different, but I don't know what that looks like. And they come to me for that next chapter, if you will.
The second half.
So I'm actually, in a weird way, I'm doing coaching, which I never used to do. I always did coaching. I was actually a teaching tennis pro early in my life. And so I was doing coaching way back then. And now I'm sort of at this point in my life back doing coaching, if you will. And a coach, by the way, is a person who meets a person at a certain place, transports them to where they want to be. That's really the essence of a coach, is you're just helping people close the gap. Although the beauty of the on-purpose approach is, once you learn, it's really underlying tools and methodologies that you can carry with you for the rest of your life. So in many ways, it's like learning to play tennis. I describe it, I would teach forehand, backhand, serve, volley, drop shots, overhead. I would teach the basics of the shot. And at that point, then we can introduce strategies and how to play, and other aspects of the game, whether it's conditioning and all the other things that come around it. But once you learn how to hit the ball, you have that for a lifetime. And so in many ways, on purpose is like the beginning lessons for how to really live your life meaningfully, which I think most of us just sort of get into a routine. And we don't have the intentionality about it. That's i.e. on purpose, but really on purpose is not just intentionality. It's knowing your purpose and then choosing to align your life so you're on your purpose rather than off your purpose. So in a weird way, it kind of narrows you down, but it instead of being a mile wide and an inch deep, you're really now an inch wide and a mile deep is what's going on. You're getting that depth of life. And as a result of that, there's a lot more joy and peace in it.
I like that. So are you working virtually with your one-on-one coaching clients? Do you ever do any group in that, or webinars or workshops? Or
I actually prefer to work in groups and cohorts because the clientele that I tend to bring in are really smart, talented, capable people. And I am but one. I can give them methodology, but at some level, when you bring the experience of other people into a group environment, it's a much richer experience for them.
Right, I agree. I agree. That whole mastermind concept and the ideas and the feedback and people being at different stages of their journey and all of those things really give so much to everybody involved. I like that hybrid of there's occasional that one-on-one meeting, but then there's also this group opportunity, and it just really expands you in a way where, you know, you can be the focus totally sometimes, but then pulling into that larger room is invaluable, I think. How about, unless there's anything else about your business or coaching directly that you wanted to share before we move in, I would love to get to a tip for everybody.
Sure. I'll give a tip. The tip that I would give is the way you write a purpose statement is really, I do 2-word purpose statements, but there's a generic start to it. And the generic start to it is you start off with I exist to serve by, and then you have a word that ends with ing, and then a positive noun, if you will. So an example of that is I exist to serve by liberating greatness. I exist to serve by awakening worth. I exist to serve by igniting joy. These are actual 2-word purpose statements of clients. Now, I have an online tool that's called onpurpose.me, and that tool, we've helped over 16,000 people now clarify their purpose in their life to 2 words. And to me, that is just, so rewarding, because now, there's life before knowing your purpose, and then there's life after knowing your purpose. And when you have your 2-word purpose statement in place, it's almost like the last tumbler in a lock falls. This doesn't happen for everybody, but for a lot of people, they look at it and they go, whoa. And because I've been at this work for so many decades, I have people that, had their 2-word purpose statement for 30 years. And they tell me how it's influenced their life. I mean, I've got a friend of mine who's been doing podcasting long before there was podcasting. He's done 1,500 over 20 years. He's done 1,500 interviews with authors, and he had me back on recently. I was his 3rd guest, his 800th guest, and now is like 1,500th or something like that. And he said, Kevin, I do this because of my 2-word purpose statement, which is inspiring passion. And he said, I just it's what I'm about. And so it's really kind of fun to look back and see some of these long-term clients that I've worked with in the past. And so
is this tool only available to your clients for them to get?
No, it's open to the public. It's onpurpose.me. There's a $20 charge. But it comes with an email course, and then once a month I hold, for anybody that's purchased it included, once a month I hold a Refine Your Purpose, where they can come in and talk about anything about being on purpose. And it's about an hour. I do it on I think it's the 2nd or 3rd Tuesday of every month. And those are actually, that's probably for me the highlight of my month in terms of just getting there and being able to work with people one-on-one on either clarifying their 2-word purpose statement or helping them understand it, or talking about how they can put it into play. Because for a lot of people, it's kind of like a new tool that they have, but they don't quite know how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of that next level of training, if you will. Sometimes they lack the creativity of how to apply it. And so I provide that for them. And that's fun.
Yeah, I don't know how I would ever narrow it down to 2 words. I really have a clear vision of what my life purpose is, and it really has to
Mhm.
do with shining a spotlight on others and helping
Mm.
that have longevity. And that's why legacy is so important to me. So having the light shine on them now and later,
Yeah.
for, inspiring people for many years to come. With their greatness. So I don't know how I would narrow that down.
Well,
Two
I
words.
think I have a way of helping you, so we can do that.
That sounds good. Yeah.
I'll get you a gift certificate.
All right. You heard it here. It
That's right.
pays to show up.
That's right. It pays to show up.
Now, if someone wanted to check out some of your things, you did give them that entry level site where they could find their purpose, but is there other ways for them to find you?
There are. I mean, first of all, our main website is onpurpose.com. That's pretty easy to remember and find.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody wants to download a tool I have called, it's a 3-step guide to being on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And they can go to beonpurpose.com,
Mm-hmm.
and they can register. It'll send them an email with the guide, and then there's some additional resources if they want to access those. And even to the point of in the 3-step guide, if they work through the 3-step guide, they can actually book an appointment with me and I'll help them be on purpose. How about that?
All right. I love that. Is that a free guide?
The guide's free. If they show up and they've got their guide done and they talk to me about it, they send it to me in advance, I'll meet with them for free.
Oh, I love that. That's good. Yeah, you got to get the work. You got to do the work to have the transformation. That is.
Yeah, you do. I want to make sure they're serious about what they're doing.
Oh, sure. I mean, and everybody's time is so valuable. So that is an extraordinary kindness. All right. One of the things makes my heart glow, and it's part of my Shine the Light mission, is we get our guests to share a cause that's close to your heart. And the reason we do this is because we are hoping to inspire time, treasure, or talent to be given to the cause you recommend, or to one someone puts in the chat, or just help someone remember, oh yeah, I have a cause I love, and I haven't knocked on their door lately to see how I can help or what they need, or made a post about them, or spread some awareness. So we just really want to inspire people to, some days we're wondering how we're going to do the next thing, and we need to remember to lift our heads up and see sometimes the best thing to do is help someone else, right? Help the community, help someone bigger than you. I've had people say, I've talked to large groups, and my comment is, if you don't have volunteer work or a place to put, something to put in that volunteer space, then go get some. So if you don't have it, go get it. So that's why I love this piece so very much. So please share with us a cause you care about.
Well, the cause I care about, it may sound self-serving, but I've got my own not-for-profit organization, which is, and what we do is we make available through donations that come in, the resources that I described. For instance, there's a group of widows. There's a group that meets and they're widows, or it may be college students that we have that are out there, veterans, first responders. We try to make these tools available to them for free, or in some cases a deeply discounted basis. So that's really, it's just beyond what I'm capable of doing on my own. And so as a result, I have people that donate to, if they go to on-purpose.org, that's my very simple website. And all donations are appreciated. But again, we always try to make do with whatever we can. If somebody calls and they're out there, I've got lines that I have to stay within the foundation itself. But nevertheless, we really try to make things available. And so we're actually supporting a lot of other not-for-profit organizations by being able to do that. So it's almost like we have churches, or there's a group called Christian Help that's out there that I've given them books and uses codes and things like that we make available, so that we can take people through some of these things. I also do some pro bono speaking through that as well.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of the same, and we're actually starting a legacy foundation to do some of the same work, to give back. And that's a great thing to do. And is it actually a 501c3 then?
It is
officially. Okay, great. That's wonderful.
Yeah. No. It's been in business. It's been in business. I shouldn't say it that way. It's been in existence for about 3.5 years now, and it's small, but hey, never despise this day of small beginnings.
Yeah, and that's part of our idea for our foundation, as well as to partner with a lot of other organizations to make sure that we're giving those families, those business owners, those communities the resources they need to begin thinking about their legacy plan. Because often there's no conversation about it, there's no thought about it, there is no plan for it, and all of this great content that you're talking about, your friend's podcast, they can have a digital estate, and it can have a foundation and a trust that all of that, the posting, articles and podcasts and all of that, can be protected long after the amazing friend of yours is no longer walking around on this planet, right? To continue inspiring people to maintain the push and the information of all the work, his life's work of interviewing all these great people, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't think people often think about establishing, they're just making content and posting and putting things out there and building things, and they don't think about it as an actual estate, a digital estate for them to leave behind for the world, for their families, to be managed and run. And there's right ways to approach it. And I just want to stir that conversation up in a big way to get that going. So I love that you're also, building. Everything has, and anything of great service has a foundation. I mean, almost every one of the Fortune 1000 that I've ever heard of have some sort of side foundation so that they can really support and give back. All the hospitals, most of the colleges have a foundation, so I think it's a good idea to develop a nonprofit when you have a mission and a purpose, and on purpose kind of a life and work, right, that you're doing. So I love
absolutely. Yeah, in fact, it's kind of fun through the not-for-profit. We're actually building out an app right now. And in the app is Kevin AI.
Yeah.
So they have cloned my voice.
Yeah.
And they have loaded in a whole bunch of my intellectual property. So at some level, I've been testing it, and it's so weird to have these conversations with yourself. But it's actually coming along pretty nicely. It's still not ready for prime time, but the app hasn't launched yet. But that's going to be a feature in the app where we have courses. But if somebody's going through a course and they want to ask a question, instead of going to an FAQ section or some other area, they can actually pull up Kevin AI and ask a question.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's exciting and fascinating. And I've taught some AI classes, and I think AI is really cool and huge. But I also know that we need to really protect the legality around that, because it's also a little bit frightening, because you want to make sure that the AI Kevin with your voice and your face doesn't ever say anything that the real Kevin wouldn't back or approve or agree with. And, there's all these things for us to think about. But what an exciting Wild West world we're living in, that we have this opportunity to truly serve someone with our brilliance 24/7, right? So I think it's super wonderful. And I just think we need to act ethically and responsibly and take careful steps and protect ourselves and our image and our own face and voice the best that we can going forward with that. So I'm excited for you, Kevin.
Yeah, no.
Good stuff.
I mean, the group I'm working with is very aware of all those ethical issues. So, it will be within an app rather than out in sort of
Sure.
in the public domain, if you will.
Yeah, well, and I think it's all about the disclaimers. Any good attorney, we're not giving you legal, medical, or financial advice, by the way.
Right,
This is
right.
a podcast. We're having some fun. Our ideas, our thoughts, our experiences, our opinions. They are not law or medical or any other thing. So that's always my little disclaimer in the
Consider yourself disclaimed.
That's right. You have been disclaimed. Although we
Nothing
love
we
you.
say here, nothing we say here will make you money. How's that?
And the actions you make just might, the
That's
people,
right.
You out there taking action on something, that's what's gonna make your world a shinier, better place. All right, moving right into and smoothly to the book that inspired your personal life or helped you grow your business. I'm sure you have many more than just one. I sometimes let really special clients slide out too, but because they just can't keep it to one. But do you have one for us?
I do. If anybody's ever heard of Og Mondino, the greatest salesman in the world, is a book that was written in the 1970s. It was a bestseller in its day, and it actually at some level was a inspiration for the On Purpose Person, my first book, and the On Purpose Business Person, my second book, because it's a narrative format, but it teaches through a story. And so that has really been sort of a hallmark for both my own writing, but also the message in that book. It was just an inspiring message for me. And Og Mondino was a great writer. First of all, he was an actual writer, where I'm a business guy who writes. So I'm not writing, great novels. I'm writing very practical, taking concepts that are meaningful, tested, and then putting a story around them, where he was actually a great writer. And so I had an opportunity. I saw him walk by me one time at an event, and I was like, oh, he had 3 people with him, and otherwise I would have interrupted and shaken his hand. I didn't get a chance to do that. He died almost 2 years after that. Again, that was probably 30 years ago. But I recommend The Greatest Salesman in the World. It's not a book about sales. I'll just leave it at that, although it is about sales.
I love that. It reminds me of the way you describe it of the 1 Minute Manager.
The 1 Minute Manager.
Yeah, of that style. And I love that author as well.
Yeah, Ken Blanchard.
Yeah, and I watched him in a YouTube interview. So if you search him and you search the video on YouTube, like the longer videos, there's like this hour interview with him that is so fascinating.
With Ken Blanchard?
Yes, and wonderful.
And I'll tell you, I've had the pleasure. Ken and I spent a morning together when the On Purpose Person first came out. He had read it and said, I want to meet. And it was before the book was actually released. He read a preview of the book, and we ended up spending a morning together. And he's just a great human being. I cannot speak more highly. I've met a lot of other famous authors, if you will, but Ken's the real deal. He is just what you see is what you get. And so, it's been really a blessing. I mean, the On Purpose Person has sold like 400 and some thousand copies in the US alone, plus multiple translations. So it's not, it's truly a bestseller. There's a lot of people that sell 100 books and call it a bestseller.
I know.
It truly is a bestseller, and has reached, as a result, has reached millions of readers, because most books get read or passed along five times is what they say. But yeah, Ken is just, he's a great guy. But it is a lot like the 1 Minute Manager, the On Purpose Person and the On Purpose Business are, as well as this Chief Leadership Officer book I have, that I just found that the stories resonate different. They stick in the memory different. Years ago, a business partner of mine from Disney we formed a business, and it was called Strategic Story Studios. And our tagline was facts inform, stories transform.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm also very spiritual. What I loved about Ken's story in this interview that I watched of him was how he really wasn't spiritual until after the 1 Minute Manager. And then I believe he also wrote a book called Lead Like Jesus. Didn't he write that as well?
I think he did.
Yeah. So just an interesting story. I'm green with envy in the best way possible that you can get to meet some of these great people that you met. But I love that idea and that kind of story concept. There's a couple of storybooks that I just love. One's Stories That Stick. And then The Storyteller's Secrets. The guy who wrote The Storyteller's Secrets also wrote Talk Like Ted. So yeah, I definitely think story is the way to go. And then I think in my opinion, as an avid lifelong ingester of these kinds of books that I want to improve myself, whether in life or business or spiritually or whatever, I like a story version, but then I want the action workbook, right? Right now I'm having a first time exposure. I don't think I read it before, but if I did, it feels like a first time, where I'm reading The 4 Disciplines of Execution. And Sean Covey, Stephen Covey's son, is one of, I think, 3 authors on that one. And it's just, I'm listening to the audio and it's just fantastic. The other person that I did get to speak to, I didn't meet in person, but Jim Stengel. He was the past global marketing executive of Procter & Gamble. And he wrote a book called Grow. And I got to connect with him on LinkedIn, but then actually for real speak to him on the telephone, real voice to real voice. That was, and have a nice conversation with him. So yeah, there's definitely some amazing, and I really loved that book. I listened to that one many, many times. It was just a very fascinating about some of the best businesses in the world and what made them so, and all those kinds of things fascinate me also. And as an author of many, many books, and it sounds like many, many successful books, I feel a little bit bad because on one point, yes, I'm happy for everyone finding the Amazon formula to get their best, international bestseller, but on the other hand, it's also an interesting thing to, truly be, sell over 400,000 copies of a book is not quite the same. And
it's word of mouth. My book is all word of mouth. It really is. A lot of people give it as gifts. A lot of people buy it just, for themselves. And then the other thing is, I would encourage people, if you find a book that you really like, reach out to the author. We're not as sheltered, perhaps, as you might think. We write because we care, and we care to make an influence or to have a touch on somebody's life. And that is one of our greatest joys as authors, is to have somebody come along and say, I read your book and it did this for me, or I learned this, or that was my takeaway. Do you mind if I ask you a question or so? I mean, you've been a speaker, so you know what it's like whenever somebody walks up to you after you've done a keynote address and says, wow, you said this and it really hit me this way. We all understand that desire to make a difference, and authors are no different. We're just humans, just like everybody else, except for the fact that maybe we've had our work has gotten out to more people. But there's never a person, I can't say there's hardly a person I met, whether they're an author or not, who I can't walk away wiser from the conversation. So it also benefits us as authors to be able to interact with our readers.
I do it all the time. I also reached out to Mark Allen. He wrote Millionaire Course, and it's also not about being a millionaire.
Right.
But it was his story, much of his story, and that was really good. He's also owner of a publishing company. and he also writes music and things, which is something I'm
Well,
up to. So yeah, I'm a big believer in reaching out to the authors and having a real conversation, especially when I'm genuinely a huge fan of their book. And
mhm.
I love books. That's part of why it's part of the podcast. So let's talk a little bit more about more of your books. So you said you have 7. Do you want to give us a rundown of a few of
Sure.
them?
Well, the On Purpose Person is the flagship book. Everybody says to me, there's the On Purpose Person and the On Purpose Business. That goes back to that equation I talked about, where it's the purpose of the person aligned with the purpose of the organization.
Mm-hmm.
So the On Purpose Person is the personal side. The On Purpose Business Person is the organizational side. At sort of that small, let's call it the solopreneur to small business owner to mid-market business owner. Then you got the Chief Leadership Officer book. That book is really written for more of an enterprise person who's got a larger organization. The premise of Chief Leadership Officer is that the CEO system, as we understand it, is busted and toxic to people. And but it's what we all have grown up in. It's what we all understand. And we don't have an alternative system necessarily. So the chief leadership officer doesn't condemn CEOs. It just says you're doing business. You're doing business absolutely. God, I just lost my own expression. But anyway, they're doing business right, but they're not doing it complete. They're doing it incompletely right. That's the way I describe
There
it.
we go.
Yeah, and so that what's going on is they've lost the leadership side of it. We still need to have the business principles and things that are going on in the operations and all that occurs, but at some level, it's sort of a short-term mindset that we've gotten into, as opposed to understanding that people are still the lifeblood of the organization, or the lifeblood. I should say, not the lifeblood, the lifeblood of the organization. So that's Chief Leadership Officer. It's a forward-thinking book, if you will, in that regard. Then I have a book called Fit for Leading, which is basically looking at what are the 4 things that I found that leaders. I talked to small business owners, did an interview with about 500 and some of them surveys, and found out, what are the 4 factors that are their greatest obstacles to success. FIT is an acronym for fear, I am my greatest obstacle, and time management. And all of those are actually smoke screens. And then the last one is my health, the one that most of them don't talk about, which is my health is actually, I'm willing to sacrifice my health in order to get success. So that's Fit for Leading. I have a little booklet called Tough Shift. Say it slowly. And that's about how to, whenever you're in the middle of a real challenging time in your life or your work, how the 7 questions to ask. It's intentionally very, very short, about 8,000 words. And that book is designed to help people rapidly process and come out the other end and understand that, kind of like, this too shall pass, that this, if you name it as a tough shift, then it's away from you, and you can have the proper distance to see what is really going on. Where if you're in the midst of the throes of the chaos and the confusion, and you don't have the ability to create some distance, you're just going to get swept away in the emotion or the anger or the whatever it may be that's going on, or the grief. And this is a way to create some healthy distance with it. I have a book. I talked about being a tennis player. I have a book called Heady Tennis, which is actually tennis strategy for the average adult intermediate tennis player. That's just a book I did for fun. I have a Facebook group with 88,500,000 members called Senior Tennis Tips, and I put together that book basically for that membership so that people could pick up on how to improve their game.
Well,
when they're at the point where they're probably not going to improve their conditioning, or they're not getting any younger. Their strokes aren't going to necessarily change all that much because they're just sort of not going to take the time to take lessons as much. But if they can improve their thinking, then their game will get better. And so that's something I put together there. I'm trying to think what other books I might have forgotten. And I've got, and by the way, the On Purpose person has workbooks that come with it
Oh,
as well.
good. I love
Yes.
that. Workbooks are awesome.
Yeah.
Because I read and ingest so many books, and I'll continue throughout the year, but I'll take 2 or 3 where I'll actually really hardcore implement them, and sometimes just one
Right.
through the course of a year, right? That I'm implementing into my business or life, but I'll still continue to ingest other books. And, we can ingest a ton of books, but it's the ones that we implement and take action on that actually have a really big impact and truly change our lives to whatever it is we're trying to change. I think you might have to get with the times, Kevin, because you're going to have to write a new book. It's going to be all about pickleball.
No, yeah. It's actually there's a better game than pickleball.
Oh yeah?
It's called light tennis, and you play it with tennis rackets on a pickleball court with a foam ball. Some guys I know out in Wichita invented the game. They're both former tennis pros. One was an actual playing pro. One was a tennis pro, teaching tennis pro like I was. But I just, over the holidays, my daughter was home and she's kind of messed around with tennis. But for us to hit, it's no fun for her or for me, really. Although we enjoy our time together. But with light tennis, we were able to get tennis rackets out on a pickleball court with a foam ball. And we had a lot of fun. I mean, it was really a good time because it has sort of the quick adaptation that pickleball gives without, but it's a slower game and it's a closer in game because of the foam ball. A lot of fun. I recommend light tennis, LITE tennis.com.
Well, then you'll need to do an article for your tennis community. Tennis versus pickleball.
Well, actually, we don't. It's really interesting in Senior Tennis Tips. They are adamant. Most people are pretty adamantly against pickleball because it's chewing up their tennis courts.
Oh,
even or the pickleball players, if there's not a pickleball court available, they'll go over to the tennis court and they'll hit on a tennis court, and it's created some real friction in some communities.
The controversy of it all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a racket sports guy. I mean, I was a college squash player. I played college tennis. I played paddle tennis. I played racquetball. I played, I put a paddle in my hand and let me hit a ball, and I'm a happy guy. So I've played pickleball. I enjoy it. I don't have the animosity that a lot of tennis players do towards it.
I didn't realize there was this separation in the communities. Wow, very fascinating. Yeah. I feel a whole nother book coming on, Kevin.
Yeah. I will say, I was playing tennis one time, some men's doubles, and there was a pickleball court next to us. And a pickleball player literally opened up the gate and started walking across our court in the middle of a point.
Oh, no.
And I said to him, "Excuse me, what are you doing?" He said, "Well, I'm trying to get to the other side." And I said, "You can walk around." He goes, "So I want to get my sand in my shoes." I mean, it was, and I said to him, you don't,
etiquette or manners.
I know, it was just, and that's probably at some level one of the challenges with tennis players is the pickleball players they don't understand tennis etiquette, that you just don't walk out into a tennis court, or they'll, and again, we're happy to be polite, get their ball back if it comes over the fence, hit it back. We get that. That's part of tennis, but it's been very interesting to just sort of see the etiquette has not really caught up with pickleball to the sense of understanding you. Like, I watch pickleball players play at the local courts where I exercise and play tennis from time to time. And I'll see them walk right behind another person's court while they're swinging a paddle. And I'm thinking to myself, this is just flat out dangerous. Or they open up the door when somebody's playing. And it's so, if somebody's running after a ball and they open up a door and you get hit in the head, you could really injure somebody. So there's a lot of safety issues in etiquette that are not understood.
Well, we love all of us out there, okay? All of the tennis players, all the pickleball players, just have fun, be nice, and just try to be polite out there. That's all.
Think in terms of courtesy and safety.
Yeah, that's right. We want everyone to have a
Yes.
little fun, get some exercise, and be safe. All those things that sound fabulous. And Kevin, it's been such
Yeah.
a joy to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been fun to just sort of get to know you and see what you're doing out here, Jessica. It's really cool what you're doing for folks.
It really is fascinating how well it fits into to your whole everything you've been up to, and we just met. That's how the world
That's
works.
right.
So I'm hoping that you're not. I'm going to be putting out a book, and I'm hoping I can count on you not to do an on-purpose legacy plan, because just send those legacy plan people to me. We'll be putting together a book, and I'll lead them to you for their on-purpose life and work. And
Yeah, you know what? I'm happy to work with them while they're living. You can take them for after they're gone. I mean,
you
I
know
really,
what? They got to still be alive to have them build a plan.
that's true. That's true. Um, that is true.
I'm not working with the ghosts on the other side.
Right.
That's medium. Well, that's I was thinking we definitely have some synergy in some places to collaborate, because when you get those pieces in line, the next thing you really should be thinking about is, okay, now how does this outlive me, so that the great things I am doing with my life on purpose, and my business on purpose, how do we have that have inspirational impact and longevity, so
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the important things is my wife does a lot of genealogy. She's
oh,
into that.
cool. Hmm.
And so at some level, you're either going to be, on a tombstone, or Find a Grave is the big genealogy website.
Hmm.
And it's just going to be a name and a number, some numbers, but you can, in today's world, you can leave behind a digital footprint.
Hmm.
And it's not, you have a rare opportunity to leave, even if you just record it on your phone, a video of just what's important to you, how you would like to be remembered, but not more importantly, how you would like people to be able to carry on some of the things that were important to you is really important. I mean, I'm blessed because I've got books that my children or my grandchildren are, 100 generations from now, they might be able to pick up a book and read it, because the books are pretty timeless. They're about life, and I don't think life's going to change all that much. I think it's important to invest in the next. All you're really doing is investing in the next generations. That's all legacy is.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And it's just so very important to me. I'll say this last thing as we close, as we begin to get to the end of our time together. But I came across a book called Tapping the Source, and three authors came together, and it's a rewrite of Charles Haanel's Master Key System, which inspired Napoleon Hill and his Think and Grow Rich. And there's actually a letter, and Charles Haanel wrote it 100 years ago. And that's why it was updated by these three authors in the Tapping the Source version. But they include in that a letter from Napoleon Hill to Charles Haanel, thanking him for his Master Key Systems book, because he states in it that he was inspired, and his, everything that, he was building after was inspired from that. So it's so fascinating to me, how wonderful it would be for me to have my, great, 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 great grandmothers or grandfathers, favorite books and movies or songs or photographs or artists or whatever they were interested in, to share with me. So,
along those lines, look at this. This is How to Win Friends and Influence People, 1937 edition, and it is signed with my father-in-law, Benjamin Guyon Haskell, August 1937.
How lucky are you?
Is that not just totally cool? I mean, he died before my wife and I met, so I never knew him. But the fact is here's a guy, in 1937. The book was published, I think, in 36. So I have his copy of, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and there's underlining in here.
I love that.
It's
I, of
really,
course, have a paperback copy that I bought somewhere, probably secondhand, and I love that book too. And it's fascinating because Napoleon Hill, I was watching an old black and white that someone had probably recorded this way, that had been uploaded to YouTube. And I was so inspired by that. And I was thinking and doing some research on him. And, he died like 10 years before I was even born, and he was influencing me. And then he was influenced by somebody 100 years before that, right?
Right.
So, I mean, it's just so fascinating, this whole topic of legacy. Obviously, I could talk about it forever, but I won't. What I'll tell you is if you're out there living your best life, helping inspire people to live their best life so they can be an inspiration hundreds of years from now, or if you're helping people pull their money together in a way that it can bring wealth to their communities and families long after they're gone, and not be drained by just one heir, and set up correctly so that it can be extended for a long time, then reach out to us. You are a profound professional, and we would love to feature you, your causes, your books, what you're up to in the world on our show. Reach out to us and the team, and they'll tell you just how to do that. But before we go today, we would love Kevin to give us, again, thank him for all his time and all the fun chat we got to have today, and share with us a final thought, a piece of information or inspiration as we go.
Yeah, I write these things called on-purpose proverbs, which are little pithy statements, and I'll share one of those with you. And it's really much about the topic that we're talking about today, which is, it's called boldness occurs when passion rises and vanity falls. So when you are on your purpose, you are in your passion, which means you're willing to pay the price, not just excited, but passion comes from the word to suffer, actually, and that you're willing to pay the price to achieve that, what's going on. And when vanity falls, it means you're willing to look the fool, what others will call you foolish. And so boldness occurs when passion rises and vanity falls. And that's what it means to be on purpose.
I love that. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank all of you out there for being with us for another show. I'm your host, Jessica Koch. This has been another Profound Professionals. And until the next one, be kind to yourself out there and be kind to each other. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.